Good afternoon and welcome everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to be among you for an important event. You're in the right place. Tunisia Investment Forum under the theme, Invest in Tunisia, the next opportunity. I'm honored to introduce you famous journalist, Courtney Finger, editor FDI, Intelligence at Financial Times. Hi, Courtney.
I'm very pleased to be on the stage with you and to be later sharing the stage with some of the most important people in the Tunisian investment environment.
You will have the responsibility to manage and moderate the next debate and also the fireside talk, special interview with the head of the government in a few minutes. But today, Tunisia has undergone many changes on behalf of the economic and political system. Tunisia is today, microphone please. It's working. So, we said, today, today Tunisia has undergone many changes on behalf of the economic and political system. Tunisia is today committed in different economical, cultural, political, and social plans. The country is embracing a young and hopeful spirit, driving its democratic change. These major developments make Tunisia a flagship destination for all investors in several areas of applications. And today the stakes are high for a country that looks after its attractiveness and offers opportunity and above all, opposition, policy making too, and an increasing optimal business environment. All is gathered today to offer the necessary tools for your project so that it is prosperous and perennial. This forum will seek to create a dynamic and open conversation highlighting where Tunisia is already an investment opportunity and exploring what needs to be done to meet our challenges. But first of all, I would like to leave the stage and the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Ziad Al-Adari, Minister of Investment, Development, and International Cooperation.
هذوما يتسموا الزلية نتاع المباشر. مرحبا بكم. سيدات والسادة الوزراء، أصحاب السعادة السفراء، السيدات والسادة أصدقائنا، مرحبا بكم. حاب نشكركم الناس كل ساعة اللي جيتوا في الوقت الحار، في المناسبة المهمة اللي نحب نحيي كل اليوم من شرفنا بالحضور واللي إن شاء الله باش يواكب معنا أشغال المنتدى تونس للاستثمار. حاب نستسمحكم باش نتكلم باللغة الإنجليزية لضيوفنا اللي حاضرين معنا واللي ما يفهموش بطبيعة الحال اللغة العربية. Welcome to the Tunisia Investment Forum. our country's flagship event for business, trade, and investment. Welcome to all our friends and partners, particularly those who join us for the first moment. We are very delighted to share with you this great moment, and we are looking forward to having an open, frank, productive, and fruitful discussion all together. We want you to know how Tunisia could help your business grow and flourish here in this country. And we want also to learn from you and to hear from you about your expectations and aspirations here in Tunisia, and how you would like to see the government better address them. Thank you really for taking the time to share with us this moment. And I would like to thank especially all those who worked hard for months and months to make this event happen. I'd like to thank the FIPA team for their tireless efforts to produce this event, our partners, especially Expectation State, our sponsors, and all Tunisian contributors. Would like also to thank our Prime Minister. He will join us in just a few minutes. My colleagues also for their support and their participation. We organized this gathering today because we think that this country is open for business, and because this country is developing the best attractive and competitive framework in the region to host investors from the region and from all over the world. We think that Tunisia is the best, the ideal destination for investment now in the region. We believe in it. And we gathered you today to share with you this belief. We believe in this country. We believe in its youth. We believe in its people. We believe in its men and women. We believe in its huge potential. It's a huge economic potential. And it's a huge potential in every field and in a wide range of sectors and industries. We believe in this country because the most valuable asset of this country is its people. This country invested a lot in education and the human capital development. Maybe some of you know that when the World Bank came to Tunisia in the early 60s and met the leader Bourguiba, the former President Bourguiba, and told him what we can do for you. He said, a program for education. It was the first program of education financed by the World Bank in the world. This means that there was huge awareness about the importance of education from the beginning in the first years after the independence. And Tunisia entertained for a long time, for many decades, this ambition to make and to preserve the country reputation in terms of education and in terms of human capital development. Many international groups, like General Electric, told me that it is 3 or 4 times quicker to find and hire the right talents here in Tunisia than anywhere else in the region. And let me share with you this great news today. Today, just reveals that Tunisia tops this year's ranking in the Africa SDG index with a score of 66. Just revealed today. That means that the country is 66% of the way towards achieving SDGs. SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Tunisia tops the ranking in the whole African continent. We gathered you today because we believe that this country is your gateway to Africa. We believe that this country, the heart of the Mediterranean, between Europe and Africa, the Middle East, is really your hub, could be your regional hub and your gateway to the whole region. Thanks to the different free trade agreements, including the last one, Tunisia just joined the COMESA region, as you know, we offer access to a market of more than 1 billion of consumers. Tunisia offers also a lot in terms of infrastructure. 8 ports, 9 airports, 60 direct flights and air links to the main European and African cities. So we invited you today because we believe in this country. As I said, we strongly believe in its huge economic potential. We believe in this country, and we believe in you too. We believe in private sector. We believe in the role of business leaders and business community. We believe in free and fair competition. We believe in an open but a regulated market. We believe that in Tunisia we can offer you the best and the most business-friendly atmosphere, environment and climate in the region. We believe in it, and we continue to work hard to make this country the best in terms of regulations. Just a few weeks ago, we adopted in the parliament a new law to improve the business climate in the country. We have already shown our ability to design, to pass, and to implement different reforms related to business climate. Tunisia rose 8 places in last year's Ease of Doing Business report and is now ranked on the top 5, both in MENA and Africa region. And because we believe in you, and we believe in the role of the private sector, the major role of the private sector, we continue to work to offer the best support for investors. I'm so pleased to celebrate with you just in a few minutes and with our Prime Minister, very exciting news regarding the new digital framework dedicated to investors. We will launch together in a few minutes a new digital platform, something like an online one-stop shop dedicated to investors. We know this will make a huge this will make huge and very helpful difference for our investors. So as you can see, we are changing and we are modernizing, we are reforming our regulations, we are improving our support to investors, we are simplifying our procedures, we are removing barriers to market. Last year we adopted the new Decree 417, according to which we removed 20% of the licenses and authorizations required to launch a new business in the country. We did all of this because we believe in private sector and its major role in terms of economic development. We will continue to work with you on that. And we will continue to work with all of you to make sustainable and fruitful and win-win partnerships between private sector, government, and different companies here locally who are also joining us from Tunisia and from a wide range of sectors. We share the conviction that Tunisia is now living a very special moment in its history. We are writing together this new page of history. We hope that we will work together to make this page of history something brighter than before, brighter than ever, something who can offer the most important number of economic opportunities to our young people, to our university graduates, but also to offer to the businesses and private sector from all over the world huge opportunities here in the country. So we welcome all who want to come explore new opportunities and follow those who already trusted Tunisia and now represent our best and most committed ambassadors. Here, some of them are present in this forum, and some of them will have the possibility and so the opportunity to also to share reflections with all of us. So I would like to thank you again, and I would like to emphasize the importance of such gatherings in terms of sharing new and fresh ideas, and also in terms of improving the quality of the dialogue between private and public sectors. Je tiens vraiment à remercier toutes celles et ceux qui ont vraiment fait l'effort de nous joindre aujourd'hui. Je tiens à dire que nous serons toujours à l'écoute, continuerons à travailler ensemble, main dans la main. Pour nous, il est très important que la qualité du dialogue que nous pouvons instaurer ensemble pour un meilleur avenir pour la Tunisie, mais également pour l'ensemble de la région, soit aujourd'hui à la hauteur des attentes, notamment des jeunes, des régions, du secteur privé, des entrepreneurs et des créateurs. Nous voulons que cette région d'Afrique, du sud de la Méditerranée, cette région du monde arabe soit une région où démocratie et prospérité vont ensemble, main dans la main. Je souhaite que nous faisions tous l'effort de travailler ensemble, main dans la main, pour que cet espace méditerranéen que nous partageons avec beaucoup d'entre vous, venus du nord de la Méditerranée, soit un espace de prospérité, un espace de solidarité, un espace de paix, de stabilité et de sécurité. Je tiens vraiment à remercier Monsieur le chef du gouvernement qui ne va pas tarder à nous rejoindre pour un dialogue avec Madame Courtney de Financial Times, de FDI. Je souhaite encore une fois que cet événement, notamment dans le cadre des panels qui se tiendront demain, mais également dans le cadre des ateliers et des workshops qui seront organisés, offrira à chacun l'opportunité de pouvoir s'expliquer sur les raisons qui l'ont fait intéressé à la Tunisie, les raisons qui feraient en sorte que s'il n'a pas encore franchi le pas, qu'il vienne dans ce beau pays, qui s'installe, qui crée des emplois, qui crée de la richesse, de la valeur, mais également pour ceux qui sont là, dire comment on peut faire pour les aider, pour mieux les accompagner de manière à ce qu'ils puissent en faire davantage. Encore une fois, merci à vous d'avoir accepté notre invitation. Nous serons vraiment très heureux de continuer ce dialogue durant ces deux journées. Et encore une fois, merci et bravo à toute l'équipe qui a fait un travail formidable pour faire en sorte que cet événement soit à la hauteur des attentes. Et encore une fois, désolé pour les aléas du live qui ont fait que parfois les micros n'ont pas fonctionné comme il se doit. Merci encore et bons travaux pour le forum, pour le Tunisian Investment Forum. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Minister. This is an excellent way to kick off our investment forum. As you can hear, quite an impassioned pitch to foreign investors about the role that they could play in the development of Tunisia and the vision that the country has for its development. But of course, for companies, investing in a market is not necessarily just some act of altruism, although there are benefits to these investments. It has to have a business case, and the companies have to know that they can find proper returns and adequate business environment. I know there are definitely steps taking place in Tunisia to improve even further. We've heard of some of the wins that have already happened in terms of moving up some of the business rankings, and these activities are continuing. And we will, in the media, continue, in the business media anyway, continue to follow those developments. So with that in mind, it's extremely important that we actually hear from some companies who have operations here on the ground in Tunisia and who are working in this market, and we want to hear from their experiences as a learning to really share in maybe some of their successes, but also reflect on some of the challenges that they faced in order to help find a way forward. And we believe that this will set the scene quite well for all the subsequent discussions that will take place throughout this forum, which of course will be continuing tomorrow. So with all that said, let me please invite up my esteemed panelists, and please come and join me here on the stage when I call your name. First up will be Arnold Bertrand, Global Managing Director for Public Services and Government at EY. It's probably a good opportunity for me to issue a blanket apology to all of the gentlemen if I mispronounce your name. I'm trying my best. This is a price you pay when you have an American to do this kind of moderation. Next up is Dominique Moxon-Trich, who's a Global Director of Public Policy at Bolt. This is a ride-sharing technology company which has actually recently, I think only about a month ago, launched here in Tunisia, which is very exciting, and we'll be hearing a bit more about that. Next up is Philippe Vogelaar, Director of External Affairs at Vodafone, of course a company that you'll all be familiar with. Also Jeremy Hodera, co-CEO and co-founder of tech company Jumia. Yeah, it's a little bit of a game to find your, to find your seat. And last but not least, Mark Shui, Vice President of Public Affairs for Huawei, another company that you will all be familiar with. Now, I would ask the gentlemen on the panel, of course, to be as candid as possible. We want to have a bit of a fluid discussion and really understand your strategies as relates to Tunisia and what your experiences have been like. But first, I want to ask, I'm going to pick on Mr. Shui first, if that's okay, and ask you first to tell us about Huawei's presence in Tunisia and how the company views the market.
So it's great honor to be here, and this year is very special for Huawei, Tunisia, because 20 years ago, very good.
Maybe a hand mic, yes. Thank you. I think We will soon be seeking some investment from a company that makes microphones, maybe. Next on the agenda.
We will consider.
Please proceed now.
Okay. This year is very special for Huawei Tunisia because this year is Huawei Tunisia 20 years anniversary. 20 years ago, Huawei opened the first office in this region and in this country. So we feel very proud to be here. And today, Huawei Tunisia have around 200 employees, and 172 is Tunisian. Most of them have a engineering degree, and in the last 5 years, we local purchasing around $15 million, and we have a very aggressive plan. Is focus on the talent, especially for the ICT talent. So this plan we reported to the chief of government. Our plan is in the next 5 years, Huawei will help Tunisia to cultivate 10,000 ICT talent.
That's quite an important investment. I guess you're employing, as you said, 172 people, Tunisians here. I assume it means that you're already finding some good skills present in this market, even though you're going to invest in building even better skills. Correct. How do you find the workforce here?
I think this is a benefit of this country. You have a lot skilled ICT talent, so it's easy to find this talent. And we have one region center. This region center is a support many Africa countries which speak French. So Huawei have this regional technical center to show this country have a very good ICT talent.
And this does fit quite well in the country's strategy of being a hub, a gateway to Africa, and also a hub to be able to serve other fast-growing markets across the continent.
Yeah, from Huawei side, we think is a region hub and a gateway for this region.
Great, thank you. And we want to hear from some of the other companies how you see Tunisia's place in the market, in the global value chain, and its workforce. But I want to ask about Vodafone, which is also supporting development of ICT sector here. So if Mr. Vogler, you could tell us a little bit about what your company is doing here and how you see this market, especially with regards to ICT sector.
Sure. Well, bon après-midi à tous. Merci de m'avoir invité. So I'll stick to English.
Please,
I think that's
for
the
my
language.
benefit.
For the ones who don't know Vodafone, Vodafone is a company created by two guys in 1985 in the UK. It grew by acquisition to become today the second largest mobile operator, the second largest fixed operator, the second largest cable operator in the world. We serve clients in about 125 countries, give and take, in different forms. Either through operators, we own 25 operators, or through partnerships, we have 45 of those. Tunisia is a typical case of the latter, which is 2 years ago we signed a partnership with a company called Tunisie Telecom, which is of course one of your biggest brands here, under the same type of format we usually do, which is a local company wants to get best practice from, you know, best in class, what you can do around the world. And they decide that they would like to develop their network first and their services. From all the work we do around the world, to answer your question, Courtney, is what we see is that the countries that punch above their weight, the countries that really win in ICT, are the ones that essentially do three things. The first thing they do is that they select a few items on which they really want to shine. So, you know, many countries can produce many slides and have ambitions in all sorts of things. Now, the best way not to achieve those is to try to achieve them all at the same time. it's much better to focus. So the second point is about implementation, which is lots of countries focus first and foremost on having ideas and plans rather than on the implementation of those ideas and plans. What we see is that the countries that can focus most of their energy on implementing very concretely a few plans succeed more. And then the third one is, frankly, that the countries that succeed more are the countries that buy those services. So yes, to the public authorities in the audience, if you want certain development services to really change something, the first clients of those services have to be ministries, have to be public authorities. You're not going to change the education system, for instance, of any country by having an education plan that is not being purchased by the Ministry of Education, and when I say purchases, embedded into what they really want to do. So with Tunisia Telecom, if I can have another minute, we've been working on, of course, network elements, also on services that could bring investors to Tunisia, and on services that would allow Tunisians to go abroad with a view to attract more investor in Tunisia. And 3 of those are really coming to mind at this stage, which we would really recommend the country to push on. The first one is obviously financial inclusion. If you look at statistics from OECD, for instance, about 40% of people nowadays in emerging markets are living just above poverty line. So that's the low middle class, as it's called. And about 50% of the world's population in emerging markets do not have access to banking services. Now, it's not just banks, it's the insurance that goes with it, it's the microloans, it's all the ecosystem that goes with it. So the first thing we would definitely bring in a country which has an educated population and that is eager to be financially inclusive, would be to bring mobile money. We know what we're talking about that because we invented mobile money 15 years ago in Kenya. Fast forward 15 years and 49% of the total GDP of Kenya is currently going through M-Pesa, mobile money. So it's quite impressive. This is something you can really make a big difference with, and it's not incredibly difficult to do. The second point would be mobile agriculture. It's a fact, again, statistical fact, that a connected farmer around the world makes an average of 30% more revenues than a non-connected farmer. You have a very large agricultural population in this country, so we would deeply recommend that the country adopts an IoT platform, so an Internet of Things platform, that allows them to position agricultural services to farmers, and those are when you plan crops, what you need to do, etc. And then, of course, helping also cutting the middlemen so that the people in the fields can get direct access to the market. Of course, to support all that, you need to touch on education, which is, you have a very, very advanced education system here, which is excellent. That being said, it's fair that like in most emerging markets, it's not touching everybody the same. One of the ways to make sure that people do have access to the same type of high-quality education is to make sure that this education comes through technology. You have tablets, we have products like School in a Box, which allow you to connect people via tablets to a central hub, and therefore everybody gets access to the same education. Je repasse au français pour terminer, simplement pour vous annoncer que j'ai le plaisir, ce sera le cadeau de Tunisie Télécom et Vodafone pour ce sommet, c'est que pour ceux d'entre vous qui vont aller en Europe cet été, pour chercher des investissements ou discuter d'investissements, nous allons lancer à partir de fin juin un package spécialisé dans le roaming en Europe pour que les Tunisiens qui vont aller là-bas puissent rester sur des tarifications qui soient, disons, très acceptables pendant le fait de faire leurs affaires. Merci pour votre temps.
Thank you, and forgive me if you touched on that just now, but on these metrics for success that you spelled out, how is Tunisia doing?
Well, It's a bit too early to tell, to be fair. I mean, we've engaged in conversations last year. We've met a number of authorities, ministers. What we can tell is that the quality of the willingness, you know, you have to have an appetite. You have to really want to do something, and that is really there. You can really feel when you talk with people that they are eager to see this country shine, punch way above its weight. I mean, I hear all the time people telling me, oh, but you know, we don't want just to be a great country, we want to be a great country in the region. That is formidable. It's really the right way to start the conversation. Now, on the implementation plan of it, frankly, it's still work in progress. I know about a number of attempts that have been made to define plans, and some of them have been made, like the digital plan that exists. Now, implementation plan, frankly, Courtney, some of it has been done, some of it is still a bit lagging behind. What you need, you know, one day, if I can share a story, I spoke with the central bank governor of Kenya a couple of years back and asked him, but why did you do this, 15 years ago? Why did you do this instead of relying on the system to just build itself? And he said, because it was too complicated. At some stage, you need to be able to say, look, if I really want to do, for instance, financial inclusion, I need to put a stick in the sand and say, khalas, I'm not going to let it go incremental. I'm going to tell this has to work, and then I'm going to iron out the difficulties based on what has to work. So a result-based type of thing. I think lots of people in the country are really eager to do that. Are we already there in implementation? Not yet. Are people open to ask for help? Yes, they are. Are people like me there to help? Yes, absolutely. So call me.
Thank you. And this is part of the purpose of a discussion like this also, is to talk about what needs still to be done, but the direction is progress, and this is good in of itself. Now, I want to turn down there all the way in the end to hear about Bolt, because as I mentioned, this is a recent entrant into the market here. So if you could tell a little bit about why, what interested the company here, and how you have found the operating environment so far.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. So for those of you who haven't heard of us, Bolt was formerly known as Taxify. We are a smartphone app, a transport platform, so enabling people to get reliable transportation around cities. And across Africa, we run a number of other service lines as well. So, for example, in Kenya, we run motorcycle taxis, which are called boda bodas. In other places, we have a tuk-tuk type service, and we have recently launched here in Tunisia with a taxi-only service. So I am super proud that Tunisia is our 30th market. We're very pleased to be here. And to answer your question about why Tunisia is an attractive market for expansion, His Excellency, Minister Ladhari, said it very well when he described Tunisia as the gateway to Africa, but it's more than that. I mean, the proposition that we're putting to investors at the moment is the number one or number two ride-hailing platform in the EMEA region. And within the EMEA region, you've got three distinct areas. You've got sort of Europe, you've got Middle East, North Africa, MENA, and then you've got Sub-Saharan Africa. They're very different places. And yet, Tunisia is kind of sort of a member of all three of them, because it's a Club Med country, which obviously has very strong European flavors, the historic linkages to France, for example. It's very much part of the Arabic-speaking world, and it is on the African continent. So for us, it makes an awful lot of sense as a destination to expand to, just apart from the pure economics of it, but also from the biggest possible picture. In the EMEA region, there are 5 global mega cities. I mean, there are over 20 in China alone. I mean, of which, unless you were Chinese, you won't have heard of half of them. So, I mean, that's the size of the Chinese market compared to EMEA. But in EMEA, the two big ones are London and Moscow, which are around 10 million people, depending on how you slice it. And then in Africa, you've got Kinshasa, Lagos, and then Cairo. Now, Cairo is really interesting for us, and it's going to be a challenge, and we had a crack at it a couple of years ago, and frankly, it was a bumpy landing. But potentially Tunisia is, as a destination for investment, stable, we're able effectively to do business here, young, well-educated workforce. For us, we're looking at Tunisia as, our first step into the Arabic-speaking world, and that's really exciting.
And that fits very well with actually how the country wants to position itself. In terms of the workforce that you have here, what functions are being done here? I mean, do you have any development, for example, going on here? And if not, could you see that?
We have a local staff of about 20 people, which is primarily business operations. Our engineering hubs are in Tallinn, Estonia, where the company's headquarters is. But we also have satellite development hubs in Warsaw and in Bucharest. So as a concept, we're not adverse to the idea of doing, high-skill software development work outside of our home market. So, absolutely. Is that something we'd like to do in the future? Yes. Something that I think Tunisia does particularly well and I could see being done here is data science.
So that could be a future step for you.
It's something I'd very much like to see. I mean, of course, baby steps at the moment. We've only been operating a few months now. But I mean, for us, when we look at Tunisia and when we look at the Tunisian labor market, I'm looking at it in terms of, we could create thousands, potentially tens of thousands of jobs, of opportunities to participate in the labor market. But we can't, because we're roadblocked by the fact that there are only 40,000 taxi licenses in issue for a country of nearly 12 million people, of which 17,000 are here in Tunis. So the reality is that, the value that we could bring to the labor market has yet to be unlocked. And again, I listened with very great interest to, the minister's speech earlier about, looking to liberalize and looking to, bring market economics into, traditionally highly regulated spheres of the Tunisian economy. And we're really excited, and we think we could do an awful lot more. And, we know that youth unemployment is an issue in Tunisia, and, we'd like to be able to offer young people a flexible opportunity to, work as much or as little as they want and to earn, real money in doing so.
So that's something that we could, put to the government here, is the need to offer more flexibility in the labor market and other regulations in order to help a company like yours be able to expand in the fullest way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our experience, as I said, we're in 30 countries around the world now. Our experience of when you go into a new market and you find that there is very real regulatory resistance to people being able to get an opportunity to be economically productive, that's almost and every time a symptom of regulatory capture. That's where regulation has stopped working for the Tunisian consumer and has started working in favor of the people who have maneuvered themselves into a position where they're able to extract economic rent. Like I said, we could create, thousands, potentially tens of thousands of opportunities in Tunisia, but, unlike a certain American app that I'm sure we're all familiar with, we make a point of operating within the four corners of the law in the countries in which we do business. We've never been kicked out of a market. So, and, we intend to continue to work in an open and cooperative and collaborative way with Tunisian public authorities.
Thank you very much. And if you can start passing the mic down this way, I'm going to come over to Mr. Hadara. So you heard it. Be sure to download your Bolt app now, I guess, everyone, if you've not done that already. I was excited to know that you're in London as well, after being canceled too many times by your competitor on my way to the airport. Now, Mr. Hadara, tell us a little bit about Jumia, what you have going on here, what potential you see here for further development and expansion. And also, you might want to react to anything that any of your colleagues have said so far.
Thank you very much. Very nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Jeremy. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Jumia. Jumia is the #1 e-commerce platform in Africa. We started the business 7 years ago. Now we are present in 14 countries in Africa, most of the largest countries from north to south, east and west Africa. We are really focused only on African countries. We are a marketplace. So what does it mean? It means that we help sellers propose their products online to our consumers we help our consumers reach more products at a better price with a better experience than what they can have sometimes in the brick and mortar world. And we help our logistic partners deliver those products. So we are a technology company providing this ecosystem with the application, the tools, and the technology for our marketplace to grow. So that's what we do in general in Africa. We have been present in Tunisia for a few years now. And the number one reason is that Tunisia, for us, is a great market. E-commerce, for us, relies on a strong and growing middle class. That's what is about e-commerce. It's not for the rich upper middle class. It's really for the middle class to access to products in a more easy way. And for us, the middle class in Tunisia is very strong. It's not something in the news, in the headlines about a potentially growing middle class. It's here and it's real. There are a lot of sellers, a lot of brands. Consumers have access to internet at a good price with good speed. And so the market is very strong here in Tunisia for us. It has played, as a result, very well. Since we started, Tunisia is every year one of the fastest countries we have in terms of growth internally amongst our 14 countries. Some year it's the number 2, some year it's the number 1, but it's always one of the fastest countries in terms of growth. We have a very strong reach across the whole country, so we do more than 25% of our deliveries outside of the tier 1 and tier 2 cities, so the big and the medium-sized cities. We do 25% of the business in tier 3 cities, which shows that here in Tunisia there is a very strong demand everywhere for e-commerce and for quality goods at affordable price. And so that's the reason why we came here. Now, along the way, I think we discovered also some benefits that we didn't expect from being present here in Tunisia. I think, obviously, the number one benefit that we have for the rest of the other countries by being here is the quality of our team and our talent. We had about 20 people 2 years ago. Now we are more than 200 employees directly, and there are about 2,000 jobs that have been created at our sellers or our logistic partners by operating the business of Jumia. So a lot of job creations, but job creation that benefits the entire company in the rest of Africa. We have more than, I think we have 10 or 15 Tunisians that have started here and now work in other countries to bring what they learned and what they have built here in Tunisia in other countries, either in North Africa or the rest of Africa. And we also have a lot of very strong partners here, which means we bring our teams from the rest of Africa here in Tunisia to do some of their operations. So we had 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had our 13 other chief marketing officer who all came here in Tunisia to shoot the new TV commercial of Jumia because the quality of the media landscape here in Tunisia is very strong. So we have been shooting all our TV commercial here in Tunisia for all other countries. So that's also one of the benefits, not only of having very good team that can go and help other countries, but also having a great industry that can benefit our other African countries who come here and benefit from it.
Thank you. The point about the strong and growing middle class here is an important one because we talk a lot about Tunisia as a gateway market, and it does have that role to play, but it's also, of course, a market in its own right that needs services and technologies and everything that you can bring. And also, I know that it's a key objective of the government to spread development out to tier 2, tier 3 cities and so on. So it's good that you have found some opportunities there. Becomes a bit of a virtuous circle, I think, if companies can not cluster only in the main city, but be able to find those opportunities elsewhere. Thank you.
Just on that note, to give
yeah.
you an example, we checked who was our best customer last year. And our best customer last year was a retired doctor from a small village next to Zarwin, which is a city here in Tunisia, who placed more than 200 orders last year. So what it shows is that, when you need products and you need access to consumption of quality products at a good price, having a phone is all you need. And then we have built with our partners the footprint that can get those products delivered anywhere in the country.
Thank you. It's the beauty of e-commerce, really, is that the buyer and the seller can be anywhere, really. Did you want to add something? Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a point on HR, so human resources, is, all of us are developing services. I'm not entirely sure people always realize the potential those services have in terms of job creations. And we're not talking about top-tier jobs only. To give you an example, M-Pesa, so mobile money, tends to create about 10,000 partial jobs for 1 million inhabitants. That's enormous. You know, this is all what it makes the difference between being at this borderline of poverty and actually making ends meet. If you look at, again, at stats, there are going to be millions of jobs missing in the ICT world in the next few years, and they don't come from the top tier. They come from the middle management type of jobs, high technicians, etc. So again, if I was making priorities, I would really focus education not only on creating those jobs, but also on making sure they can go to work afterwards on these
Quite
type
right.
of
It's got to serve the whole chain of skills and incomes and their ancillary services related to all of these services. I want to turn to Mr. Bertrand. Do you have a microphone? Thank you. You've been patient. EY has expertise in working almost everywhere around the world and working with governments and also in advisory services. First of all, what do you make of what you've heard so far in these experiences? Does it resonate with what you understand about this market? And what do you see as the future potential for the country? And maybe to round us off, it's kind of to-do list as we go forward.
Thank you. Aslema, bonjour. Peut-être quelques mots en français pour commencer. Je ne suis pas un acteur ou un observateur objectif de la situation. J'ai passé mes premières années quand j'étais enfant à Carthage et mes premiers héros étaient Hannibal et Bourguiba, donc je suis un grand fan de la Tunisie. Je rejoins complètement le discours très optimiste et très engagé du ministre tout à l'heure. EY is working in Tunisia, has been working in Tunisia for 25 years. Supporting, as you mentioned, government, and we're working a lot with the current government, companies, SMEs, and large companies to invest and to develop themselves in Tunisia. And I will jump on the speech from the minister. I think really Tunisia is back, which is a good news for the region, for Tunisia, and definitely for the world. It has been a challenge. Because when you look about the 10 past years, Tunisia has dropped down in most of the index, moving from 35 to 40 position, now to 66, but it was 80 in the past years. So drop in infrastructure, drop in logistics because of a lack of investment, drop in administrative burdens as well, due to a lack of reform. And last but not least, of course, because it is a key point, a drop down in the macroeconomic balance. If you go to the port of Rabes, not far from here, this port was able 10 years ago to deal with a large number of containers per hour, approximately 20 to 30. Now it's 4 and 5. So you see the difference, and I think we have to spend some time as well about the challenge. But there is some very good news. The first good news I will mention is that Tunisia has some very strong fundamentals. The first one being education and human capital. We mentioned it. There is a challenge here because even if the education is great, even if we do have some very good engineers in Tunisia, we have to face the fact that some of them are leaving the country and that some of them are not immediately finding a job when they go out from school, but still the human capital is great. Second, the cost of labor is very low. So therefore, when you mix high skill or strong skill with a low cost of labor, we've got a very strong productivity, which is probably in Tunisia one of the best places to invest. The second one is that it's a great place to live in. And when you want to attract investors, what they look at is not only the condition for investing, but as well the condition of living. Education is good, as I mentioned. Infrastructure is good as well. Health condition and health sector is very strong. So it's a very good place to settle. As it was mentioned, it is as well a gateway for Africa, even if it's still to be strengthen in the future year, but the situation is that one. I would mention two recent trends that are as well very important. The first one is that the government over the 3-4 past years did invest a lot in entrepreneurship, and we see now a lot of companies, small and medium enterprise coming out. And the second one is definitely the startup environment. The government took this year a major decision with the Startup Act, but before of that, over the 3 past years, we have seen a lot of fundraising. The last I'm aware of was with InstaDeep, with working on AI, and there is a lot of startup working on AI in Tunisia, and they were able to leverage on 7 million fundraisings, which is quite important. So you've got fundraising, you've got capital risk, and the Startup Act is going to boost that by facilitating change issue, custom issue, and so on. The last one I will mention is that there is some very strong platform in Tunisia, a very strong industry dealing with the end-to-end value chain like automotive, aeronautic, digital, and so on. And when you mix this entrepreneurial attitude or development, this startup, and this platform, I would say, it's really the best way, and it was mentioned by some of you, to build a situation where investors can come because they can integrate a complete value chain. They can work a lot with a lot of SMEs to support them on their development. So I think Tunisia is definitely a great chance, a great place to work in and to invest and to live in, I can assure you. But there is still some challenge. One of them, and when we have done an index last November last year, going to some entrepreneur to ask them what was the big challenge for Tunisia. And the one that came first was the state reform and fiscal reform. So there is some challenge ahead of us, but I think we are in a good shape. You are in a good shape, and that the future is bright.
Thank you very much. And we're about to conclude. We've got just about 2 minutes left, so I want to come back to Mr. Shui. We started with you, and we will end with you. So you've celebrated now Huawei 20 years. 20 years from now, what will be the scope of your operations here? If you were to look in the future, what can you imagine the future of Huawei in Tunisia?
It's a very challenging question. What we forecast is the world will become connected and intelligent world. So maybe we cannot say in 20 years, but we can say 2025. So in 2025, the world will have 100 billion collections. Before we just collect people to people. Now we collect people to machine, machine to machine. So this is a big opportunity for Tunisia. So what for Huawei?
Yes, we have to wrap up now.
Courtney,
So-
I think we have to welcome the
think
head
so.
of government who
I think
does
so.
us
We
the
have
honor
a
of being
VIP
with us.
arrival. Well, we heard part of the future, but it's all about connections. Thank you very much to all of you for your time and your insights. Round of applause for them, and I will move over there to greet our special guests. Thank you.
Once more, thank you, Courtney, for the managing of this interesting and passionate debate, and added value and some great ideas that will be the base for a new thinking approach.
Thank you. Hi, thank you. Nice to see you again. Okay, well, we have a really wonderful treat for all of you here. We've just, had this panel of businesses operating in Tunisia telling us how they view the potential of the country, and they are overall quite bullish. They are finding they rate the workforce very highly here. The skills levels are good. Investment in education impresses them. Always there's scope for more skills development, but they rate your workforce very well and the skills. There's concern over previous backsliding of reforms, but encouraged by the new reforms and the forward progress that the country is making. So we want to get a reaction to this and to hear about some of the plans from really the top man. And I am delighted to have with us here the head of government of Tunisia, His Excellency, Mr. Youssef Chahed. Welcome to the stage here. Now, I'm aware you didn't get to hear the whole of the panel, but again, the general feeling is that companies that we talk to, largely from ICT sector, are feeling very confident about the country. They buy in quite strongly to the idea of Tunisia as a gateway to Africa. They're buying into the workforce and the skills levels and the tech capability here, and are very keen to work with you to help be able to unlock even more investment. They would like to maybe see future reforms, more liberalized regulation, more flexible labor market. These are some of the things on their wish list. So I would like to ask you to tell us what's on your to-do list in terms of meeting business expectations, further improving the business environment, and more importantly, why should other companies join these that we've just heard from in also investing and doing business in Tunisia?
Thank you very much. Thank you for organizing this session. Thank you. Yes, I mean, I think today investing in Tunisia, I mean, I can give you short answer why to invest in Tunisia. The short answer is that Tunisia is a very, very competitive country. Let's say the leader in Africa in terms of cost efficiency. The long answer, I can give you 10 reasons at least why to invest in Tunisia. I'll give you at least 3 important reasons. And I think I understand that many of the investors here today mentioned those several points about the workforce in Tunisia, a skilled and productive workforce at very competitive pay levels. We have around 65,000 graduates a year. Second is about developing infrastructure in Tunisia with easy access to power generation, electricity and energy, and digital infrastructure with a network of international communication, cost effective. And the third is about Tunisia's position. You know, we are just 1 hour flight to Europe and open to neighboring countries and to sub-Saharan countries. So Tunisia has a strategic position. We have an association agreement with the EU, and recently we signed an agreement with COMESA, North and East and South African countries. So those are several reasons why you should invest in Tunisia. But of course, Tunisian economy showed strong resilience, strong diversification. This is a democracy, also important. And also there is a country solvency, because we can see Tunisia is attracting a lot of donors and international donors, and also let's say a pleasant living environment in Tunisia with all this rich culture and diversity in Tunisia.
Another microphone? There we go, thank you. So we've had an opportunity to enjoy some of this amazing cultural offerings and food and so
good
on
food.
here. Excellent food. I've done some global benchmarking studies on that, and I can attest it's very good. Now,
this should be on the top 3.
It definitely is a top of the agenda, and definitely top of the list of positives about Tunisia, and there are actually many when it comes to investment, some of which you have just outlined. Investors will always want to know about challenges and risks so they can make their kind of business cases balanced. And we know, of course, Tunisia had security problems in the past, which caused some downward pressure on foreign direct investment flows. So Matt, now is a good time maybe for you to tell us how the country has bounced back from that, and what reassurances you can offer companies about safety and security here.
Yes, as I mentioned, Tunisian economy showed strong resilience during the last 7 or 8 years, because as everywhere in the world, we were attacked times by terrorist attacks in 2015 and in March 2016. And when this government took place, the number one challenge was about security. So it was a very strong challenge, and we spent a huge amount of money in training our security forces, in buying equipment, and I'm always talking about, I give just one number, Tunisia now is spending more than 15% of the budget to security. And I think we succeeded in that. Since 2016, we did not have any major attack in town, and of course there is no zero risk, but I can say that today Tunisia is not less secure than any country in Europe, because this terror is attacking everywhere in the world. And of course, this gave strong result, for example, on tourism activity, since all the European countries, for example, left their travel ban in Tunisia. That's why we expect, for example, 9 million tourists this year. And of course, FDI, we can see increase in FDI, because the goal of this terrorist attack is to impact the economy, to impact FDIs, to impact tourism. So today now Tunisia is recovering, the economy is recovering, and thanks to the security in place.
And I know that you're opening your doors, of course, to re-welcome global tourists to the market, but also crucially, global investors. What can you tell us about steps that have been taken to further strengthen the business environment and security for investments in the financial sense, and the ability of foreign companies to operate easily here?
Yes, building an enabling environment was top priority for the government, because as I mentioned, when we arrived in 2016, those attacks and other things impacted the inflow of foreign direct investment, and we can see increasing numbers from 2016 to 2019. We tried to work on how to build an enabling environment, how to unlock the potential of growth of Tunisia. There is a huge potential of growth here in Tunisia. We try to simplify all administrative procedure by reducing all those barriers to investment. We try to simplify the investment code, trying to give incentives, financial and fiscal incentives to investors. Foreign investors today in Tunisia with the same rights than local one, intellectual properties, several areas of work, especially in the legal framework. And recently we just adopted what we call the investment law, that really try to unlock, as I mentioned, all those areas where we can win some growth, and also internet. We try, for example, to make a digital public tender exclusively, so this can make better transparent environment. So as a result of all that, we just won 8 places in the doing business in 2019, and I expect to win at least, let's say, 5 places more to be for 2020. So this enabling the economy is recovering in Tunisia, growth is back, tourism is back, several sectors are back after difficult years, and as I mentioned, the transition to democracy has a cost, and probably the economy suffered during the first years after 2011 revolution, but I think now the future is we can be positive and we can be optimistic.
Yes, democracy is a messy business, as we've learned definitely in the UK recently. Certainly being a beacon of democracy in the region, international partners should be wanting to support, and that would include, I would say, international companies. You mentioned a little bit about the digital economy and some of the activities there, and that really, I suppose, points to where you want to take Tunisia in the future. As we ended the previous panel, we were doing an exercise of glimpsing a little bit into the future and what it might look like 10, 20 years from now. What is your vision if you were to take us on a little journey into the future?
Yes, I'm always saying that this country can grow at, let's say, 2-digit. We need to, the business model of Tunisia should be based on high-skilled human resources and a first-class infrastructure. Of course, this requires some strong reforms, reforming the banking sector, reforming the public service, fighting corruption. We started a huge fight against corruption, and this is very important to create a transparent environment. So let's say several number of reforms, but Tunisia really, the potential is here. I can mention 2 or 3 areas of future development, such as ICT. This is really an area where we can reduce the gap with developed countries because Tunisia background and infrastructure is here. And the second is about renewable. We just launched a 1,000 megawatt renewable tender for wind and solar. And this is really the future. This will reduce Tunisia dependence and reduce the cost of energy and make Tunisian companies and foreign companies in Tunisia much more competitive. This country has a strong potential. We need, as I mentioned, to unlock the potential. And I think with some social stability, security now is here, and political stability, so really we can imagine a strong place for investment, Tunisia, in 2030.
Thank you, and that's an excellent note to end on. We're really grateful for your time. The fact that you are here and addressing this audience and taking my questions shows your interest in engaging with the international investor audience, and I think that's indicative of the high priority the government is placing on foreign investment. So thank you very much for your presence and your insights.
Thank you. Merci. Thank you.
Thanks again, Courtney. Thanks again, Courtney, for managing the debate and also the interview and joining me. And I will ask His Excellency Mr. Ziad Al-Adheri, Minister of Investment, Development and International Cooperation, to join us on stage 2. Mr. Belir Ben Sultan, President of the Tunisian Investment Authority, and also Mr. Anwar Marouf, Minister of Technology. You know, this kind of event is also the occasion. It's also the occasion to make big announcement. And Mr. Shahid, you will be the first user of a new platform. It's time to the effective launch of digital platform. We will discover together the new platform for investors, new online investment services to register and incorporate your company.
Via our online investment services.
It's done.
So, wherever you are in Tunisia or at home and looking to register and legally incorporate your company, we are here to serve you. TIA Platform offers you its new online services and at your fingertips. How to complete the legal incorporation procedures of your company? Go to the investment portal www.tia.gov.tn. Fill in accurately the standard document for companies incorporation. Choose the appropriate legal form. A limited liability company, LLC, one-person company with limited liability, public limited company. You are done. Your trade register e-certificate will be sent to you immediately with other related documents. Because we care about your time. Invest in Tunisia, the next opportunity. We stand ready to help you implement your investment in good conditions.
As you said, you will be the first user of the platform. So the platform is to improve, to implement your investment. So go ahead. Document à joindre, nature du document, formulaire bénéficiaire. Votre demande a été soumise avec succès. Le dossier juridique de votre société vous sera transmis dans les 24 heures, 24 hours. So, okay, you have to follow the, okay. That sounds good. So congratulations to everyone who worked on this platform. And it's also the occasion to to launch, and now we are going to present 5 awards. 5 awards as a sign of gratitude for the efforts made, for the energy provided to the service of investment in Tunisia. The selection and the choice criteria were defined by a committee that led to these laureates' choices, of course, and granted to foreign companies based in Tunisia. The FIPA awards are given in recognition to their positive contribution to enhance partnership links and commitment to be a discontinued part of Tunisia economic sustainability. So let's start with the Investor of the Year, Leonie. Leonie, and I will call Mr. Mohamed Al-Arbi Ruiz is here, and the amount of investment and number of employment are the criteria.
Avec la
2008.
connexion, on peut tout relier. Avec la connexion, tout devient possible. Chez Léonie Tunisie, la connexion est notre quotidien. Tout a commencé en 1977, lorsqu'on était petit. Mais avec une bonne connexion, toute chose petite grandit, prospère et prend de la dimension. Les efforts d'un groupe de personnes se traduisent non seulement par leur implication, mais aussi par leur connexion. Ce n'est pas facile tous les jours. Mais la beauté de cette connexion fait que travailler chez Léonie est un plaisir au quotidien. 17 000 personnes sont connectées quotidiennement pour vous fournir la connexion qu'il vous faut. 17 000 hommes et femmes se donnent au quotidien pour que Léonie soit le modèle à suivre. Ces hommes et femmes constituent la véritable richesse et le véritable capital de Léonie.
Mohamed Al-Arbi, j'ai 54 ans, je suis d'origine de Psaken et j'ai fait mes études aux États-Unis, robotique, master en génie électrique, spécialité robotique. Le Tunisien est capable de faire la magie. Une fois il est bien orienté, une fois il est bien guidé, il peut faire l'excellence. C'est à travers cette culture d'excellence que nous devons être meilleurs et personne ne pourrait être meilleur que nous.
Notre connexion crée l'amour, le dévouement et la passion pour que Léonie Tunisie soit toujours le modèle à suivre. We love Tunisia. We care.
Leonie is 48.5 million Tunisian dinars, of course. We are talking about 950 jobs, and in 4 years we are trying to reach 5,000 jobs. Sounds good. Nouveaux emplois. And new jobs. Okay, so for the Innovation Award from Anwar Marouf, Ardia, and I want to call Catherine Maé, member of the Executive Board.
Actia Engineering Service est une filiale du groupe Actia, groupe familial français de 3700 collaborateurs répartis sur 24 filiales dans 16 pays, réalisant un chiffre d'affaires de 477 millions d'euros en 2018. La société est spécialisée dans la conception, industrialisation et diagnostic de systèmes électroniques embarqués pour le domaine automobile, énergie et télécommunications.
And it began to develop the Ardia Africa Center from Tunisia, which targets 800 engineers. Thank you again.
Juste quelques mots alors pour témoigner effectivement et remercier avant tout de ce prix qui est à partager avec l'intégralité des équipes tunisiennes. Le groupe Actia, ça fait plus de 20 ans que nous sommes en Tunisie avec un magnifique parcours, d'abord dans la production et puis aujourd'hui avec un centre de R&D vraiment du plus haut niveau. Donc ce prix est là pour témoigner du travail de nos équipes, j'en suis très fière. C'est un groupe familial qui accompagne des hommes et des femmes sur les territoires tunisiens. Aujourd'hui, plus de 1300 personnes, un véritable pilier pour le groupe, sans qui nous ne pourrions pas être à l'international comme nous le sommes. C'est un partenariat de longue date et en tant qu'entreprise familiale, je compte le perpétuer encore pendant de nombreuses années. Merci vraiment pour cette reconnaissance et merci aux équipes.
Toute la reconnaissance, la gratitude pour les efforts déployés, pour l'énergie investie justement, pour avoir ce fleuron dans notre petit bout de terre appelé Tunisie. Merci encore une fois. Allez-y. And now, the Inclusiveness Award, Yazaki. Yazaki, since entering in Tunisia, the company has completed several expansion projects in the interior regions. Thanks again, Mr. Yamada, and all the team, the whole team of Yazaki. And now, the Commitment Award for Benetton, and I want to welcome Mr. Massimo Zata. Congrats. And I have a question. Local production represents how much compared to the world production of Benetton? In italiano. No, no. La produzione tunisiana. Sì, vai. La produzione tunisiana di Benetton, come si dice già, représente combien par rapport à la production mondiale?
La presentazione mondiale.
Nous sommes in Tunisie da oltre 25 années. Et j'espère la production mondiale, mais nous sommes en Tunisie pour le 35% de toute la notre production. Il est nous sommes de 5 millions de pays et nous sommes basés in Tunisie pour 30%.
La produzione locale rappresenta quanto rispetto alla produzione mondiale?
35%.
30-35%. Donc la production locale représente 30 à 35% de la production du groupe mondial. Magnifique. It's impressive. I invite you for a group photo with all the awards. Please join us. Just for Mohammed, obviously. I'm sorry for that. Thank you so much. And now I invite the Diaspora Awards. Mohamed Malouche, Tunisian American Young Professionals. Chairman Mohamed. President of Type, known for his contribution in the promotion of Tunisia abroad, US. Huge work done with Tunisian community in the US. Known as a rock star in Washington too.
So thank you very much for this honor, this award. This is, I think, the first time that there is an award for the diaspora, and we're thrilled, very honored to be the first recipient of this distinction. The Tunisian diaspora, the professional diaspora abroad, is truly a crown jewel. It's a very important asset for Tunisia's economy, but it's one that's under leverage, and it's truly the first natural investor, as well as, frankly, an ambassador for Tunisia, for Tunisia's image, and an advocate for Tunisia. And that's exactly what we've been doing at Type. We have been empowering Tunisian professionals in the United States to deliver Tunisia's value proposition to their local chambers of commerce, their think tanks, their university, making them mini ambassador of the Tunisian cause, and essentially making them feel good about it. We've also done a number of programs to promote Tunisia across the United States, have built a network of friends of Tunisia in the US. So I just want to say that, you know, the diaspora is really important. It's a force that can be leveraged, and it doesn't matter that, you know, Tunisian professionals do not live in Tunisia. If they want to help, they will help from anywhere in the world. It's a question of will. One last thing about Tunisia's value proposition. I think Mr. Head of Government has made an excellent job describing it. I'm going to add women and civil society, because they're so important, you know, to Tunisia's value propositions. And I want to really give a big hand to our women, our civil society, and our entrepreneurs, and tell you that this country's value proposition is truly amazing, very competitive, and that we're able to embrace all the challenges and development opportunities, because these development opportunities exist. Nobody's perfect, but they're manageable, and the positives are truly outweighing the negatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you for being you. And you are starting to see results of all the work made by TAPE and by you. Thank you so much. So I invite you for group photo, and then congratulations again. Mohamed Malouche, Benetton, Yazaki, Ardia, and Leonie. Thank you again for the investment, for the employment. Thank you. And now, time to attribute. And please, Mr. Yusuf Shed, the very time for a tribute. This year, we lost a big man, yeah. One of the greatest ever in the Tunisian industry, Abdullah Ben Ayed. Founder of Pulina Group, Abdullah Ben Ayed is pioneer in modern poultry farming. He participated in the development of Tunisian economy and management. And I want to call Slim Ben Ayed, Abdulhab's son, to join us on stage. Slim. One of the greatest and best industrial experience in the Tunisia history. One of the builder of the modern nation. Thank you again. And during the panel, we were talking about the experience of Huawei in Tunisia too. 20 years of R&D, 20 years of innovation, 20 years. And a special mention to Huawei for its 20th anniversary. So, Mr. Spark Zan, Huawei, Tunisia, please join us. And I would like to thank Huawei too for being a sponsor of this edition of Tunisia Investing Forum. So Huawei, EY2, Jumia, and GIZ, all the sponsors, all the organization team, and all the members of the team. I would like to thank you all again, and for being part of this opening today. Your presence has been meaningful. It helps to remember that this event is really, really important. And last but not least, the Tunisia Investment Forum will continue tomorrow. and with a program of 3 plenary sessions and testimonials of success stories, revealing us the secrets of its success. So see you tomorrow for the rest of this forum. I wish you all a pleasant evening. Thank you again.